Welcome back, people, to another episode, another chance to sponsors out there, J20. Hopefully we can get a couple of endorsements. But anyway, besides all that, back again, people, for another show, another week, another episode. And we'll let my co-host here, Craig, go through the topics. Welcome back, everyone. We look forward to getting your comments again on what has been another couple of weeks in the world of sport.
Yes, so updates in the sporting world. Today we're going to step with the England under-21.
Yes.
Oh man. You know that cringy moment of like, I don't want to look, I got to look, but I don't want to look. And then you start looking into the squad of who played, who didn't play. I don't want to shift blame to anyone. Firstly, that's not what we do at J20.
Nope.
We don't shift blame.
But we're honest.
We're honest.
We're brutal, and we also give our insight into what we think is the truth.
Yes.
And how we navigate that way to the truth, we'll let you guys decide.
If I speak, I am in big trouble. In big trouble, and I don't want to be in big trouble.
Comment below, please do, because we try to be as fair as we can, and we're definitely as honest as we can be, 100%. And without shifting blame. The question I would ask for you guys as well as viewers: squad or Aidy?
Well, we're talking about England here. We're talking about a country where expectation has always been plentiful in all tournaments. There's always been sort of something heightened by the upcoming, I suppose, adrenaline boost that World Cups, Euros, even other sports have given England over the years. So it's one of those things. I think the transition we saw when Stuart Pearce was over that under-21 team, and now Aidy, who's obviously had his stints at Watford, he's had his successes at other domestic low-level clubs. But we're talking about the present here. We're talking about a team that are colourful, that have got all the talent in the world. But they've not proven themselves, and to be knocked out of a competition like that, I mean, it just kind of epitomises everything that's wrong.
Not just knocked out. They're at the minute
embarrassed at the bottom of the table. What's your opinion
of the table?
Yeah,
I am shocked. I am shocked when I look at the squad. How many of those players are in the first team environment of their clubs, and these are not small clubs like back in the day, 10 years ago, the under-21s. You'll have some players playing for Bolton in there, and players like Southend.
Kevin Phillips.
You know what I mean? Yeah. You'll have some players in there, Sunderland. You know, like, come on. Yeah. This is 2021. Yeah, mate. You got Curtis Jones, Liverpool, champions. Yeah. He's pushing for honours at Liverpool. He's played, probably about 15 games this season already. Easily.
Yeah, but do you think, when we're looking at like the England 21s, do you think there's a lack of cohesion there?
100%. 100%.
We're looking at players who play week in, week out for the top two leagues in the country, which you could argue are the top two leagues in the world for competition. The Championship arguably even more competitive than the Premier. And we've got players who just don't really want to wear the shirt. They don't have they don't, like we said, the old cliche. They haven't got the arsehole to wear the shirt. Yeah. Their bottom went in all these games because they think the expectation, it got to them, but they think too much of it.
Is it the label of being a wonder kid, or the label of being this new golden generation?
Yeah, but
is it the label, and who's given them these labels?
It is the label, because the label is saying that if you play for England, no matter what levels, 17s, 18s, up to junior, up to senior, that all of a sudden you've made it. Yeah, you've been spoon-fed this rhetoric that if you win a game for England, you are automatically an 80 grand a week player or a 90 grand a week player.
Well, to be honest, I totally support you on that idea, because bloody Maguire, sorry to keep, it's going to sound like I hate Maguire.
Yeah.
Scores a last-minute goal.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he's highlight of every newspaper. And I'm saying, how many goals has this guy scored to deserve the right to be on the front of the newspaper? Yeah. Now he feels like he's had a great season, a great year.
He did have a great year, but he also had a very turbulent year when the news focused him on his other
Well, I don't want to get into that, but I'm just looking at it like what you said, the narrative that the media paints and the pressure or expectations the media force the public to then have on these players. Is it unfair on the players in some retrospect, or is it, you know what, you are meant to be a role model?
Yeah.
Like, step up.
Yeah. But I don't have any sympathy for footballers who want everything handed to them. Look at Mesut Ozil, for example. Yeah. 250 grand a week, sits on the bench, expects to be like. I remember even watching the this documentary about Sunderland, you know, and they were saying Jack Rodwell was on like 100 grand a week, 8 grand a week, and he's got no ambition, he's got no drive, he's got no connection with the club. So why is he there? Why don't the clubs just, you know, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what. See, I think football is too conditioned. I think they're too comfortable in their own good, because I think football, there's so much money to be made at football that really another 100 grand a week is nothing. But where are they getting all this money from? I can't make it out.
Well, the sponsors.
The sponsors,
they're now brands. They're now brands. So when you're looking at that global market, these guys are a brand. Jesse Lingard. Yeah. He's a brand. Yeah. People will. Is it into influencer? Yeah. So because footballers are now heading into that generation. Yeah. And another one I'll touch on after this is they're now coming into that more of a entrepreneur, businessman. Yeah.
Clothing expert.
It's no longer I play football because I love football and I happen to be getting paid for doing something I love. It's a business. It's a job. So in that aspect of it, I don't know if I fully agree with even wage cap or anything like that, because you're not going to wage cap Gucci's CEOs for you know what I mean? So
no, but I agree with you. It's just that
if they're a brand, then that's how other people value them. Yeah. Then they're just getting what they deserve, what they've earned. You've got to earn that. So that's why I asked you: is it the media giving these young generation of stars these titles? Hence why big corporations are now coming in and slapping these 150k on these players.
Well, if you're asking about whether players are money grabbers, I don't necessarily agree with it. I think that players should not be deterred from earning a living, and they've earned that right. And I was having this conversation with someone the other day, and I said footballers have earned the right to be there. Yeah. It's hard enough getting into academies. You know better than anyone how difficult the threshold is to get young players, even from like young black players, to get into a football team. And that's what really is the truth, is that young black players, especially in England, look at the diversity we have in England. They're the most talented, but the hardest working. I believe as a white man that the white players are lazy. They're lazy as fuck because they want everything handed to them. But also to build on that, the title of our episode last week was Football Frenzies, and I want to ask you: has football become a commodity? Has it become a bargaining tool for these footballers to make a living out of football? But then, like you said, there to put all their interest back into other things.
Yeah, but it is. It is. That's what it is. That's all. What should I say? That's what it's becoming. Yeah. And the reason why I'm glad you mentioned that one is Depay.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
He's a fully established. I'm laughing, but it is funny.
That's a great example to use. It's a great example. With good old Memphis. Big up Memphis.
He's a fully established artist, rapper. But at the same time, he's a full-time professional footballer and an international footballer. Yeah. How does he do it?
But I'd rather see him doing that than I'd see like an average footballer being a big TikTok star. I don't really care about all that.
Yeah, but they're also getting into that.
Massively.
TikTok.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, what we're
doing.
So
it's how they... It's how...
Can't knock the fellas. Can't knock them on. Fellas.
So it's all about... And that's what I'm saying is, how do you influence others and what media do you use? Yeah. And
But are we looking at the media from a bipartisan point of view, or are we looking at it from a point of view where media has become so indulged in negative headlines that it's kind of almost outcasted many players.
Not even just that. I'm looking at it in the terms of, is football now a commodity? For these players, they've got a lot more interest, and a lot more business opportunities given to them due to football. So now, once you've reached, like it used to take footballers, if you go back a couple of years, they wouldn't even see £10,000 like how some of these guys see £10,000. So it would take them a longer period of time to save up to then get to where they want to get to, and they would have retired by then and go into their next avenue as a business.
Whereas the average Premier League footballer today can retire within 2 months.
There you go.
It's ridiculous.
So,
but then you've got to look at obviously the taxes and we know what it's like.
It's just the modern day, so the money and the investment now is far greater than it was a few years ago.
Right, you mentioned a good word there, investment. Do you believe that, particularly the England FA, are they investing in the right areas? Because why are the under-21 so putrid?
Nah.
Like,
even
come on.
before that, I would look at what they're doing in the grassroots levels, what are they doing to aid like deaf football teams.
There you go.
The women football team. Even the women league to get it more coverage. That, like when I used to go to school, we used to get tickets to watch football matches, right? Now obviously this year and last year, COVID and the current climate has stopped quite a lot of things from going ahead. I'd like to see that initiative reinforced and giving the local schools ticket to go watch the women's football game whenever it's on. Local women's football teams, not just the national teams, whenever it's on. And this might also be on the clubs as well, not just England, or not just the FA. But like those incentives, working with local areas to get that, as you say, the DNA of football, of what you want it to be like in your country, breading through. So when they do get into a professional environment, they've got the principles that are going to take them to that next level. The clubs are now forced into coaching that way because everyone's coming through that way. Their whole system is rigged because there's so many different ideas, which can be a good thing because obviously you don't want too many of the same player. But at the same time, the structure to English football is dependent on the individual and not by what is governed or set, for example.
So do you believe that when we're looking at grassroots and how players are governed through their kind of, early childhood, schoolboy stages, do you feel like they take any transferable skills from those groups into the big mainstream? Because a lot of footballers, they make that transition from an early age. They get contracts. Like I was coaching a kid the other day, plays for Stevenage, 12-year-old, given 4-year contract. Like madness. Like vision of being here there since he was 16 to then go on to hopefully in the future, go up through the ranks. But do you think there's a certain level of contractual obligation for it? Because they're only young kids. So where's the sort of diction between the parent and the club? Because the parent's got to decide for the kid what's best, but the club want that kid to prosper and grow. So it's like a level. It's like two sides, isn't it? Really.
Yeah, that's really strange to hear something like that happening.
4-year contract, 12-year-old kids.
It doesn't.
It's mad.
Maybe that kid doesn't quite understand what was offered to him, but because that's unheard of for a 12-year-old. Yeah. Because that doesn't even happen for 16-year-olds. Yeah. The highest I know is a 2-year contract, which is. Yeah. I'm not sure. So
maybe I'll say it wrong. So he's 12 now, but he's been playing since 8. So he's been 4 years there, but he's been offered, say, probably a year or 2 extension or whatever.
That is no, but this is the thing as well. When you're at these clubs, right? At the end of whatever your contract or your given time is, if you are, let's say, I don't like to use the word performing or exceeding because there has to be consistency with it. But if you are exceeding, let's say, and you're coming to the end or nearing the end, other clubs get to find out and will approach you. Well, approach the club on your behalf, and then you get that different environment. But quite a lot of children stick to what they know because of schooling, closer to home. Sometimes that's the right choices. Sometimes it could hold you back because maybe going in a different environment might give you some new skills and new ideas and help you grow up a lot more as well. If you look at, and I'll just bring it back to you, if you look at a few of the English boys like Jadon Sancho, Jude Bellingham, who's gone away. Jude Bellingham was never going to get in the England team, went away to Germany, started playing first team football. He's playing in England first team.
Reece Oxford, Borussia Mönchengladbach has gone to another German team, but he can't even make it into the England setup. And it's funny you mentioned Jadon Sancho because a good friend of mine, Sace Lewis, who does like community activist like mentoring in the community, he was saying that he used to coach Sancho from a young age, and then sort of all of a sudden you let loose that fatherhood figure or someone that's there to kind of guide you, then you're being thrown in the deep end. Massively, so.
That's it.
So
that's on our England. There's a long route there. A lot went on with the England.
But on terms of the England team, what needs to be done? What needs to be addressed? Because if they can't make it, cut it at the best level, then how are they gonna strip it back down to becoming players that are willing to fight for the team?
That's a hard one, you know, because that's similar to when you look at any team, you need a solid base. Is their goalkeeper good enough?
I mean, I don't even know half the players, mate.
They got Nick Pope in goal the other night.
Nick Pope. Who's he, Derby County?
Nah, Nick Pope's at Burnley. You got Pickford.
Is he Everton. Still like, he's not under 20, is he?
No, not under 21s. I'm talking about the first.
Sorry. No, I'm talking about. Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, you couldn't touch.
I thought you were talking about the first team. Pickford, as he passes best, he's doing. Listen, he's performing at Everton right now, but
he's not world class. It's debatable.
And then you got Dean Henderson coming through. So that's the best at the minute, right?
Yeah.
When you look at their back four. Arguably the right back position and left back position is the best they have.
Yeah. So
the centre backs are still a missing space or a gap or a hole to fill. Because I still don't think they've got a good enough pair to play there. Their midfield and going upwards from when you get past the centre back position. The England team's pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, well, they've always been rich in attack, haven't they?
Yeah, so I'm surprised they haven't spent a lot more time searching for a better centre back, to be honest, because I don't think they're going to win anything. With that back line.
Now you are an expert in scouting and someone who's been around different clubs. What do you, as an England ambassador or an England scout, what do you look for in players? Especially of that level, mate.
I wouldn't say an expert in scouting because I've got a lot to learn. But what I would look for.
No, but that's what you're working towards.
Yeah, that's what I'm aiming to get to. But when I look at, for example, I look at Maguire, right, as the leading force because I think he's the skipper as well, right?
Yeah. That's what he's good for. Skipping across the back four because he can't run.
He relies on his physical stature too much.
Yeah.
He's not quick like what you've picked up on.
Yeah, sharp bursts.
His body shape and his positioning is horrible.
Yeah.
And he leaves himself isolated in 1v1s for whatever reason, I don't know.
Yeah, the average Brit who spends too much time out in Benidorm.
So, he would be really, really good with a quick centre-back pairing.
Yeah.
Because he's good at heading. He's
but
great
where
at
do
heading.
you find that in England, mate? You've got to go out to Brazil to find that.
Well,
you don't get no English players of that speed.
I'm not sure what to cover him.
Who's that fella that plays for Liverpool?
Tanzania. Oh, Joe Gomez.
Yeah, but is he?
He's injured. But he's quality.
There you go, mate.
He's quality.
So they've got no cover. There ain't no Varans. There ain't no Varans in England.
Axel.
Raphael Varane.
Tennessee, he's alright. Tomori, is he too early and is he too short? Some would say height got nothing to do with it.
Because defence is massive, like height and stature is massive. But it's about having different attributes than just height and
yeah, that's what. But that's what he has.
So that's what clubs look for nowadays.
Yeah.
If you're not of a certain height, you're given the release button.
So that's the problem.
Press release. You're not above 6 foot. Press release.
So that's the problem. That's the problem. And then apparently he wants. He's got an idea. Maguire's got an idea of what sort of defence or defender works best with him. Are the England team beckoning to this silly idea that a defender has a picking of his? Or this is England.
It's nearly getting as bad.
I hope he doesn't.
The lack in depth is nearly as bad. I want to say Jamie Carragher come back off punditry duties and come back into the centre half role. It's got so bad.
I thought you were going to say Gary never come back and fill in at centre back instead of...
Hey mates, you know, Gary, he can play that position any day, you know. Hey mates, I'm not coming back unless you pay me a lot of money, because unless I'm on tour and at least an hour, I'm not playing football.
You know, like that kind of attitude, like...
Well, listen, if I'm Gary or Carragher right now, you couldn't pay me enough to get in that England side because, first and foremost,
because who wants to be paid peanuts to be playing around those donkeys?
That's what I was about to say. covering him and making him look good, and he's going to get the plaudits as well. That's the worst bit about it.
You know those when you write down a sheet of paper and you want to scribble out, you get the Tipex.
Yeah. So yes, so
that's it, people. So in the comments, let us know your thoughts on the recent
tragedy.
Oh, good.
Right. So.
Right.